Do you like basketball? Basketball no. I like, but I'm not good at. Yes, I'm not.
Me too.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the State of the League podcast, the only NBA podcast that talks about every NBA team every week. Except not really anymore.
Not anymore.
It's postseason basketball.
Screw you, bottom feeders.
Charlotte, go fuck yourself. That's what I'm talking about. It's postseason basketball time. I apologize for the delay. No Wednesday episode this week. Pablo contracted a deadly illness, and we had to power through. But he survived. I'm your host, Jack, a.k.a. joestar. With me, as always, world-famous Pablo Escobar. And we are joined today by Tyler, Hoop Venue, internet-famous, smart basketball YouTuber guy. I'll throw it up to Tyler. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Playoffs start less than 24 hours officially from now, so that's all. I'm just watching basketball all day from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. I've done a deep dive on every single first-round matchup except Warriors-Rockets. I'm going to do that tonight. So I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I had like my anticipatory, like, okay, I feel like this series is going to lean this way. And after diving into each series individually, now I'm at a place where I just feel confident in what we're going to see. And historically, I've done preview videos on series before, and the only one I completely botched was Wolves-Mavs last year. I thought the Wolves were going to take that, and that was just bad. That was bad. So I feel like I feel good. This is the first year where I've done videos on every single series, so I'm like kind of scared. Like if I just get everything wrong, there goes my credibility. I'm done. I gotta retire. But no, I'm feeling good, man. Less than 24 hours away. I'm just excited.
I've been watching all the preview videos. They're so good.
I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it.
Last year I had a similar huge miss where I watched the Suns Wolves matchup before their series because the Suns were 4-0 against the Wolves last year, and I was like, there's no way the Wolves are taking this. There's Karl Towns and Gobert out on the perimeter. What are they gonna do? There's no way this holds up. It might be a Suns sweep, and then that did not happen.
Yeah, so that was the video where I actually had the most backlash because that was the first or second preview I did, and I picked the Wolves in like 5 or 6. And a big part of my breakdown was the shooting luck that the Suns had in the regular season. Like, they shot like 50% from 3. And people were in the comments like, no, they're just going to put Gobert and Cat in that pick and roll. It's food. And then game 1 happened, and then game 2 happened. And I'm like, interesting, man. The Wolves are a little bit better than I even thought.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this. If you put Rudy Gobert on the perimeter, he deserves to die. He's one of the worst players in NBA history.
True.
And so the fact that the Suns couldn't figure that one out, it's no wonder they need to blow it up at this point. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, definitely. I mean, I don't know. Us around here, we're definitely more vibes-based approach than you are. You're a pretty scientific fella. I was watching some of your videos, and hey, I respect the research. It's just when you take it from our angle, then if we get things hilariously wrong, guys,
it's great content.
We're just joking, guys. It wasn't even serious. Honestly, the fact that you guys even care about that, you're taking it a little too seriously.
Okay, take police. Put the handcuffs on.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think we want to focus on, like I was saying, the 3-6 matchup and the 4-5 matchup in each conference today. I will throw the ball to you again, Tyler. Which series are you most excited for? There's a ton of like really good matchups. I feel like we got really lucky with the way the bracket shook out. Which series are you you think will be the most entertaining?
Of the 3-6, 4-5, I'm thinking the most just from a pure entertainment standpoint, it's got to be Lakers-Wolves to me. Like, the first thing that my mind goes to is the names involved. You've got Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James. That's box office immediately. You've got Rudy Gobert going up against a lot of minutes of 5 out. That's a narrative. There's just so much narrative. I mean, Julius Randle trying to prove that he's not a playoff choker, whatever you want to call it. Like, there's a lot narrative-wise going into that series. And I also think it's going to be one of the most creative coaching matchups, because JJ Redick has kind of shown to be a sicko where he'll try literally anything on both ends of the floor. There's going to be a lot of freaky lineups in this series where the Lakers go 5 out and the Wolves either go like double big or they go Randall at the 5. I think right away that's where my mind goes because of it has the most narrative, and I also think it has the potential to see like the craziest lineups and schematic choices.
Yeah, I was looking at that one as well, just in terms of like right off the bat, the post Luka trade with the Lakers, the thing in the back of my mind, even less than like, oh, they have to run Luka and Reeves defensively or whatever. It was just like at some point, this front court rotation has to catch up with them. This is something that will be tested in the playoffs, and so like right off the bat to draw a team with like this, not just like deep of a front court, but physically imposing. Like it's not like I don't want to call like Cat or whoever like soft. I think that's dumb. But like I don't know, Gobert has been a fucking monster on the boards, especially in the last like quarter of the season. It felt like he was regularly dropping like 17, 18 rebounds. And then even Randall, I think his I don't know, he's really embraced like a scaled down version of the bully ball that he's found a lot of success with throughout his career. And so I guess, yeah, I don't know. That's where mind goes when I look at this Lakers Wolves matchup. Is just like it's a crazy clash of like teams that are almost, I don't want to say locked in to playing one way, but they have found like very a lot of success through very specific avenues.
Yeah. No, that's kind of where my head's at, too. Like, you kind of hit it. The clash in styles. You've got maybe the biggest front court in the league going up against a team that has one rotation center who weighs 220 pounds. So it's like that immediately is just kind of this weird thing. And that's where I think the Lakers do have an advantage from the standpoint of I do think they kind of dictate the adjustments in the series. Like, the Wolves will be forced to counter whatever the Lakers do. If the Lakers go small, then the Wolves kind of are put into a tough spot where do they leave Gobert on the court because they need his rim protection, they try to overwhelm the opposing team with size? Or one thing I was kind of thinking of, because the Lakers played this very aggressive style of help defense where they're always sending the weak side over early to load up and then they switch everything. My kind of takeaway is like maybe the Wolves' best avenue to winning this series is you go to that supercharged offensive lineup where Randall and Reed is your front court, and you've got 3 other 40% shooters, and then you kind of just hunt for mismatches and play off of that. Like, you try and get Reeves on Randall or Ant, or you try and get Luka on Ant, draw Reeves over as the low man, and then you kind of just try and outgun them. Because you aren't going to be able... I don't think there's a real pathway to either team meaningfully slowing down the other's offense. This to me is a very high scoring series. So maybe the Wolves go for the approach of like, you do your thing, Luka, we'll make you play one-on-one, you do whatever you want to do, and we're just going to try and win the math game by making 40% of our threes. I don't know, it's going to be a weird series, that's for sure.
Yeah. Pablo, what are you thinking?
Well, first thing I'm wondering, how will there be a point in the series, do you think, where JJ just goes, let's kill Anthony Edwards and force everyone else to try and beat us. Let's just trap him at every time he brings the ball up or whatever, and force Julius Randle to run the offense. Even downhill, kind of an erratic decision maker. I'm gonna take my chances with that. How do you think in those situations? How do the Wolves cope? Can they handle it, or would you be worried about that?
Yeah, I think it's a fair point because I would actually assume Mike Conley's probably not going to get many minutes, and he's kind of the guy they rely on to be that extra decision maker for them off of Ant. So if they are just outright trapping Ant, I think it'll all become about how the Wolves kind of manipulate the court. Because let's operate under the assumption that the Lakers have a small ball lineup on the court. So I think you have to really be careful with where the trap comes from, because let's say hypothetically, Reeves is matched up with Alexander Walker. The Wolves can put Alexander Walker. Let's. I'm gonna try and paint a picture. It's hard without a whiteboard, but let me try and paint a picture.
Okay.
Let me try and paint a picture. Imagine I'm editing this on video and it's on your screen, right? Let's go into dreamland.
A little
right?
theater of the mind. I like it. Let's do it.
Yes. So imagine Edwards brings the ball down the right wing, right? And they put Randall one pass away at the top of the key. Empty the corner. There's nobody in the right corner. So that would probably mean whoever Randall's man is the one who's coming to double. because that's the closest guy. You double from one pass away. Now let's say Alexander Walker is on the right block in the dunker. That means Randall's catching the ball off of the double, and the rim protector is Reeves. And now you're going downhill at Austin Reeves. And I think my takeaway is kind of like the Wolves can manipulate the floor in a way where they're always kind of rolling into an advantage if you trap Ant. And the Lakers' rotations would have to be literally flawless in order for that to work, or they'd have to do some kind of crazy pre-switching to keep Reeves away from that, or just, I don't know. That's kind of where my head's at. Like, I feel like it's really risky to double Ant just because, and even you could even throw Gobert in that dunker, and now you have Randall rolling into Gobert with the vertical space, and that's something they've been messing with a lot to end the season since both of those guys got healthy. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Like, I see a lot of things. I think the Lakers will try that. I actually think by the end of the series, we'll be seeing a lot of zone, too. The Lakers have toyed a lot with a 3-2 or a 1-2-2 zone, and the Wolves, I would say their biggest weakness as an offense is when they see the zone, it's like they forget how to play basketball.
Milwaukee Bucks game a couple weeks back. Yeah.
Exactly.
My God.
That
what
was
a
bad.
disaster.
That was bad.
I mean, as full-on abject Kevin Porter Jr. hater, nightmare night for me, because they run the zone, and it's not just that like the Timberwolves fall apart against it. It's that Kevin Porter Jr. every time is like, oh, that's a steal for me. Steal into a fast break dunk. Yeah, what a fucking disaster. So that definitely feels like something, I don't know, like the Wolves are going to see and have to deal with in this series.
Yeah. And do you go, so let me ask you guys, like, if the Lakers do go 5 out and you're Chris Finch, do you ride it out with Gobert, or do you try and like switch your lineup? Because I almost feel like the Lakers want you. They're like, they go with the 5 out and they're like, now we want you to take Gobert out of the game. So it's almost like you're playing into their hands.
I don't know. That's really tough just because. So like you genuinely feel like you take Gobert out, the Wolves with that line. I know the lineup you're talking about. There's that graphic going around with like the best net rating lineups or offensive ones, and so you feel like that with Reed and Randall in the front court, and then it's probably like Alexander Walker and Anthony Edwards and someone else. They're like going bar for bar in a shootout with the Lakers' best offensive line. Do you like have faith that like it would work for them?
I do think so, just because I don't think it's the same level of offensive talent, but I think it's more so about the mismatches, and then the fact that they do have an extra like 40% 3-point shooter that the Lakers don't have unless LeBron gets hot. Like, if LeBron gets hot, then he can be a 40% 3-point shooter. I mean, he kind of has been for the last 2 seasons. Yeah. I don't want to like, I don't know, LeBron kind of doesn't count, but yeah, I think they can do that. And also another factor is like, what do you do if Edwards is just hitting 40% of his pull-up threes?
I don't know. I've never
taking
known.
9 or 10. Like, am I crazy for thinking that the Lakers, like, say Edwards is just torching them with pull-up threes? Am I crazy for thinking the Lakers try the Utah James Harden guard him from behind? because he can't, like, he is a much weaker mid-range shooter than he is 3-point shooter. So if you just take away you bring the help over early, run him off the line, then you kind of force the other guys to beat you in a way that Edwards can't just burn you with 10 pull-up threes.
Ant's crazy just because, like, it's insane that a guy who has maybe become the face of, like, the true hooper aspect of the NBA, he's definitely up there, so analytics ball pilled. Like, rim finishing and 3-point shooting, one of the most dominant players in basketball, and then every time you get him to take that elbow jumper, complete bailout of the defense. I feel like just complete exhale if you're the other team there. And so I think I would like to see them pull Gobert and run those lineups just from an entertainment standpoint, because then I do think we would see what you're talking about, where it's like 127 to 120 in regulation or something. Pablo, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, because Gobert, with Gobert, we've seen the same problems like for forever now. But still, it feels like, I don't know, he is an obstacle, and I might want to look for solutions to keeping him on the floor rather than go into a shootout where my opponents are Luka and LeBron.
Yeah.
It's like these are two of the best problem solvers, half court problem solvers in NBA history. And then on my team, like, we don't have anyone who's that good of a passer. Like, Julius Randle's a good passer, but he's I'm such a Randle doomer. he's such an erratic decision maker sometimes. Anthony Edwards has gotten better, but he's still a work in progress. And just like you said, Conley, there's defensive challenges that come with putting him out there. So I don't know. I would try and keep Gobert out there and try and ride that wave of being like, well, we have a great defensive center and you have Jackson Hayes, so suck it. We're gonna try and make this work. But honestly, I don't have a clear vision for which is gonna work.
Yeah. My kind of takeaway is, and I guess this brings me back to last year's conference final series and me picking Minnesota. The one thing I can kind of like say I maybe got right. I don't want to say I got it right because I did predict them to win, but like the Wolves did outscore, or they were either winning or tied after quarters 1 through 3 in the first 4 games of that series. They like had an advantage in that series for a lot of it, and the fourth quarter rolled around. And they just got picked apart. The Mavs were just absolutely surgical, and they got picked apart in fourth quarters. And my kind of takeaway is, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a similar thing. You know the graphic that goes around from last year's Nuggets-Lakers series where it shows time leading in the series? Yeah. That's kind of where I can see this series going, where the Timberwolves might have an advantage in quarters 1 through 3. And I think some of it is that they just have more depth, and their superpower is the fact that they can put out, like, an infinite number of lineups, and the Lakers are kind of stuck to like 4 or 5. That's kind of just a superpower for all of those in-between minutes. But when it becomes the last 10 minutes, and say, I asked my co-host on my podcast, Sean, I was like, Sean, say all 7 games, you get into a situation where it's 100 to 100 with 3 minutes left. How many games does it take the Lakers to eliminate the Wolves?
Oh my God. I don't want to be you definitely get one like nuke ant game in there. But like that's just I do have like so much more faith in the Lakers, just like good shot every trip as opposed to the Wolves. I'd say 6, and I do think I'm saying Lakers in 6 here. What do you think the series is going to go?
That's my take as well. Lakers in 6. I had like a top 5 likeliest outcomes. I think Lakers in 6 is the likeliest outcome. I think Lakers in 7 would be my next outcome. Then I'd go Wolves in 7. Then I'd go Lakers in 5. Then I'd go Wolves in 6. I do think it's kind of a split series. Like I see a real pathway to the Wolves winning it, but I do think the Lakers have the advantage, and I think what the late game execution was kind of what moved the needle for me. I just think you're going to get into close games. Give me Luka and LeBron's decision making over whatever lineup the Wolves have on the court.
Yeah, I also do think just like individual player matchups, I feel like LeBron is such a bad Randle matchup just because we've seen consistently when LeBron is guarding someone who's like a real bruiser in his old age, refs are like, I'll let him play. And so like if Randle is trying to like back him down or whatever, I feel like LeBron will have, I don't want to say free reign or anything. I'm not like a full conspiracy theorist, but I think the refs will like let it get physical in a way that will probably benefit LeBron. Let the boys be boys. Let him, come on. Let him play, ref. So, yeah. And then also just for each series, I did write down who do you think will be like the biggest difference maker for each team? So like Lakers, Wolves, what's one player on each team that you're looking at and you're being like, hey, how they play could really swing it?
I'm going to avoid stars for this question because I think it's more fun. I think it's more fun to dive into. I think Dorian Finney-Smith is the obvious one for the Lakers because I think he's kind of what unlocks their switchability on defense because they do use him 1 through 5. But also I think that would be the key to attacking Gobert if you do go small because the pick and pop then becomes a huge thing with Dorian Finney-Smith. Much like the 2022 series when they put him on Dorian Finney-Smith and he got like 8 threes up. Then had the post-game interview and said, I know Rudy's going to be guarding me and I know he's going to be leaving me open, so they told me to shoot 10 threes a game. I think Dorian Finney-Smith would be the like X factor for the Lakers, and then for the Wolves, it's probably going to be Alexander Walker, just because I think he gets like kind of the Conley rotation minutes, and that means he'll probably be Luka's primary defender. So I'd assume Alexander Walker is like the big one for the Wolves.
Okay, yeah, that's really, as a guy, I openly don't really like the Wolves. Fucking Game 7 last year, PTSD. But
Oh, yeah.
Nikhil Alexander-Walker, I've really grown to like him over the course of the season. He's an incredible role player. So, all right, cool. Let's take a trip to the East. I think we could knock out. Of the four that we're going to talk about today, I think Pacers-Bucks is the one that, like, I feel the most lopsided about, and I'm curious how you feel about it, especially with the news that we have. Damian Lillard, he's starting to work out again and everything. Never before seen recovery from a blood clot that they got early, I guess. I don't know what the status for him over the course of this series is. I know he's out for game 1. But yeah, Pacers-Bucks first round matchup. What are your just initial thoughts here?
Yeah, so I'm assuming since you said you're lopsided, you're leaning towards the Bucks here.
No, I feel more comfortable with the Pacers, to be honest.
Okay. So I thought where I thought you were going with that is that you felt really confident. So I'm with you. I think the Pacers have a really huge, big advantage in this series, and this was one of the ones I felt most confident in too. Now, if Dame comes back and is at full form by game 2 or 3, now I'm like a little bit worried. But in terms of what the teams look like right now, the Bucks have found something special with this Giannis kind of point guard role where he's like damn near averaging a triple-double since Dame went down. Ryan Rollins has been like a revelation for them in the starting lineup. Also, I know you said you're just an abject KPJ hater, but he has been a super good piece for them.
Well, that's the hardest
bench.
part of it, is he's fucking, like, it's one thing when Miles Bridges is sucking ass in Charlotte or something, but like Kevin Porter, he's like, I'm like, damn, 25-5 again tonight. Fuck.
Yeah, but the thing for me is, I don't think the Pacers have any chance of stopping the Bucks on offense. Like in the last 2 seasons, they've played 9 games against each other, and Giannis is averaging 37 point. I think it's 37, 13, and 7 on 71% true shooting, including a 54 and 64 point game. So it's like, yeah, Giannis,
you could have thrown out any averages there, and I would have been like, yeah. You could be like, he's averaging 80 points on 110% true, and I'd be like, yeah, they don't really have an answer for that guy. Yeah. But then I don't know. I'm just like, when I look at the rest of the Bucks, and I mean, shout out to the guys that have played well for them, I do just feel like there's, like, especially with no Dame, a depth issue here that is borderline insurmountable. Like, the angle I approach this series from is how Herculean can Giannis's efforts be? Can it be enough to beat them? I mean, maybe. He's one of the best players in NBA history, but, like, if the Bucks come out on top in this series, it will be just because he has like an all-time heater. I don't know if there's like another angle that you can come at it from and be like, the Bucks, I really have some hope for them here. Kyle Kuzma, 25 point per game series or something. I don't know about stuff like that.
And yeah, that's the big thing, because I do think at some point during the series, the Pacers are gonna guard Giannis with their entire team. They're just gonna straight up, I don't know if they're gonna double him. I don't know if they're gonna blitz pick and rolls. I don't know if they're gonna build the wall. And I still think you can basically pencil Giannis in for an efficient 30 guaranteed in the series, because even if you do find a way to like limit his half court driving, you're still getting a lot of easy offense in transition. They have nobody who can keep him off the offensive glass, so pencil in 2 or 3 putbacks. If he gets the ball in the post, Who do you even want guarding him? They've tried Nesmith, they tried Siakam, they tried Turner. None of those guys can, like, they do not have anyone.
Have they tried Jarris Walker?
They haven't. I don't know if they have.
They're saving it for the playoffs. They don't want to dip into it right away.
Hey, he hasn't played in any of the... You read off Giannis's stats? There's one X factor, Jarris Walker.
Well,
it's so stupid.
It's like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. It's just like when Rui guarded Jokic at the end of game 1 and they found something. Giannis is going to have a slow game 1 with Jarris Walker on him, and that's it. They found the solution. No, but in all seriousness, like, I think the Bucks are going to have a huge offensive series. I think it just comes down to, can you outscore what the Pacers are going to do? Because my big question mark is, who do you put Brook Lopez on? Because Brook Lopez is going to start these games, I'd assume. Who do you put him on? Because if it's Miles Turner, we are just running a 30-foot pick and roll, or pick and pop, I should say. every single possession. And the kind of the superpower with Halliburton is you're going to get a shot every possession because he never turns it over. So it's like, are you going to let me take the pull-up three? Are you going to let me drive? Or are you going to let Turner... Like, there was one game where they just let Turner have the open three off the pop every single play. You can't do that for 7 games. Like, you can't do that for 7 games. But then it's like, okay, let's move Lopez onto Siakam. Now we're either going to use Siakam as the screener, or we're just going to have Siakam ISO, because Lopez can't keep up with Siakam. But it's like, okay, let's put him on Nesmith. Now we're going to run our guard-to-guard screening stuff, and Nesmith shot 43% from 3. Same thing. Pick and pop, pick and pop. The only non-shooter you could put Lopez on is Andrew Nembhard, and then they'll just start using him as the point guard. So I don't know. What do you do with Brook Lopez in this series? That's my question.
I do not have an answer for it. I mean, Pablo, what do you think?
I don't know either. When I look at the series, this really just this specific matchup just really sells home to me how much better the NBA has gotten, because I'm looking at this and I think like 10 years ago, this type of matchup is 4-1 Bucks, just by virtue of one team has Giannis and the other team doesn't have someone of that caliber. But the rest, the depth of the NBA is so deep now, and so yeah, I am leaning Pacers too, just because I think they're such a machine, and I do think that Tyrese Halliburton is such a unique offensive engine. I wonder, do you think last year? He was a very bizarre playoff performer, where it was like when he took more than 10 shots or whatever, he was fantastic. But then there would be other games where he just like took himself out of it completely. Do you think we're going to see those kinds of like erratic highs and lows, or are you confident that it'll just be full on prime Tyrese Halliburton all the way through?
Yeah, I think so. I actually kind of have a different take on Halliburton's performance, and I do agree there's a lot of ups and downs, and I think it's because he's the ultimate I'm not going to force anything player. And so I actually had a video from the Bucks series last year where I went possession by possession, and it was basically like, don't fall for the box score, because Halliburton would have a game where he'd have like 7 points and 9 assists. But when you dive into the possessions, he actually created like 24 shots, because basically it was like they put 2 on the ball, he quickly gets off of it, ball swing, get an open 3. And I almost feel like Halliburton has these highs and lows, but what he's doing in the game is very consistent. It's basically like, I'm just going to take what the defense gives me. If they do this, I do this. If they start sagging off, now I'm going to get to that pull-up 3, and then you get those 25, 30-point explosions. So I just feel like Halliburton is kind of just a very unique player in that whatever the defense does, he's not going to try and force anything. He's just going to make the right decisions. And by the end of the game, it could look like a weird thing where he shot 3 for 10. He has 6 points, but the Pacers had an 130 offensive rating. And then it's like, because the Pacers offense was blistering hot that entire postseason run, especially like I remember everyone said the Knicks were going to slow them down, and then they had like one of the fastest paced games ever to open the series, and I was like, you can't slow that down. There's nothing you could really do to slow that down. You kind of have to just outgun them.
Yeah, it's interesting because Halliburton, I don't know, I'm somewhere in between where like especially like when Halliburton has those sick, like a 30-point game from Halliburton. Oh, it's one of my favorite like watches in the league. It's so exciting and everything, but at the same time, his off nights are very different than like Anthony Edwards 3 for 10. The impact goes down very linearly, but with Halliburton, like it's so consistent that it almost led to this whole discourse last year where it's like, how much worse is Nembhard? When Nembhard's running the show, we're still getting good looks and all this shit. And it's like, I don't know, just because Halliburton isn't hitting, he still does do a lot of like the get the ball to the right spot at the right time thing to let everybody else do what they're comfortable doing. And yeah, I just like, so when you factor that in, it's like, even if they do get Halliburton to play like that, where back half of the season he was like a consistent 20 and 10 on like 65-66% true shooting. He was phenomenal down the stretch. Even if you do get him back to like he's pretty hit or miss, then I think the series has gotten to a point where it's like, hey, it's really up in the air. Maybe the Bucks have a shot here, but like it's just difficult to look at like the way the Pacers, like you said, get good shots every time down the floor, and then you look at the Bucks and it's like, hey, every time Giannis touches the ball, I have faith it'll be a pretty damn solid shot. But like, that is a battle you absolutely lose, just because Giannis can't touch it every single time. He can't be that guy.
What do you do in the non-Giannis minutes? Like, he has to play like 45 minutes a game in this if Dame's not healthy. Because do you then go like Kevin Porter Jr. pick and rolls, Bobby Portis post ups?
Bobby Portis, baby.
Like, yeah, what do you do in the non-Giannis minutes? Like, I think the Pacers just have so many more ways to beat them, and they're just so consistent. Like, I actually just pulled it up. Game 2 last year against Milwaukee. I remember the discourse was Halliburton was getting carried by Siakam because Siakam had a big 37-point game where he was cooking. In this game, Halliburton had 12 points and 12 assists, only took 10 shots, and the Pacers had an 133 offensive rating. And it was because they were putting 2 on the ball, and he was just making the plays, and then it's like, yeah, I think there's a limitation with Halliburton when it comes to if you can switch effectively, you can force him to play one-on-one, and those are the games where you really like don't feel his impact as much because now he has to beat a guy one-on-one, and he just isn't that type of like break you down scorer in the way that a guy like Brunson or Cade is in the East. But like the Bucks do not have the facilities to do that at all, and it's like the only way you could possibly start switching everything is if you go Giannis at the 5. But then I think you just use Siakam as the screener, get Giannis onto Halliburton, and now who guards Siakam? Taurean Prince? Now we're just posting him up. So I just think it's a bad matchup for the Bucks defense, man. I don't see a good pathway to them. Like, I think what it comes down to is the Pacers can have a cold shooting night. They can have an off night from Halliburton, but they have so many more ways to beat you. Whereas for the Bucks, it's like if we have one cold shooting night, Giannis has to go off for like 50 for us to have a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So back to different the individual player difference maker for each team. Indiana has like 8 guys you could pick. There's so many incredible. Just like, hey, he could have 4 great games, and that could be the difference. For Milwaukee, who do you think it is?
For Milwaukee, I think my head is at. I think 2 guys come to mind. I think AJ Green is a huge one because I think they'll kind of be in starting and I don't even actually know if he's going to start, but I assume he closes games.
Yeah.
In closing lineups, they're kind of going to be relying on his movement shooting to be their secondary form of advantage creation, where you like unlock the 2-man game, or you go like I have no idea what Indiana does if you go inverted pick and roll, Giannis coming off a screen from AJ Green, because you can't hedge because AJ Green's shooting 45% on catch and shoot threes, but anything else in Giannis is just going downhill. So I think AJ Green is kind of like a nice chess piece offensively. And then the other one is Ryan Rollins because he is their best point of attack defender. He's the best option you have against Halliburton. And I think his shooting could be a potential swing factor because he shot 43% on catch and shoot threes this season. And if he's just that, then that's another guy you can't leave. But it's a low volume 43%. So I think the Pacers are kind of going to test him, be like, hey, we'll give you 5 or 6 threes. Prove that you can continue shooting 40%. And that to me is a big swing factor.
Yeah. Pablo, what are your thoughts on this series or any of that?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I don't have any more on this one.
Okay. I mean, that's why I got it out. I definitely didn't want to close with this one because I do like. My heart says Pacers in 6 because I think Giannis will just like, I don't know, like he will bring down the world with him. But my brain is like, it could be 5. Like, no, it could easily be 5. I just don't want to bet against Giannis being super competitive. So I'll say Pacers in 6 here. It will. I would just wager it would feel like a much different 6 games than like Lakers over the Wolves in 6. I feel like the Lakers would exit that series being like, holy fuck, how did we get out of there? Whereas the Pacers, they win in 6. They'd probably be like, damn, I'm glad that's done. But like, I don't know, it wasn't the end of the world.
Dude, my head is at the exact, like, you basically just said exactly what I said at the end of my preview video, where I was like, Pacers in 6, maybe 5, but with Giannis on the court, you always have a fighter's chance, and I feel like you just get 2 games. It's almost like the way you described the 6-game series reminded me of Boston-Atlanta 2023. That was a 6-game series where nobody gave Atlanta a chance at all. Like, Trae Young had that game winner to survive the 3-1, and it was like, yeah, they were not. I don't think it's that extreme.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, I'm with you. I think if Dame is fully healthy, because you also got to keep in mind, if Dame comes back game 3, there might be some rust.
Yeah.
And then it's another weak defender that the Pacers can attack. I just think the Pacers offense, like, you have to have crazy personnel. Like, you have to be Boston to slow down that offense.
Yeah. And that's my thoughts on Dame. I would also like to say, I only watched most of your Wolves-Lakers video. So the coincidence there, I was not copying you. But
I don't know. You might have seen that part, though.
You might have caught it on TikTok or something.
Yeah, there was a Clips guy. It had 16 likes, and it had a Subway Surfers going underneath it.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, there was with Dame. That's exactly how I feel. Where it's like, hey, even if you slot him back in, which it would be sick, it would make me feel very differently about the series. A lot of the stuff that I've said here probably goes out the window, but the first game back, like, that could easily just be Pacers by 20, because, like, it's not good, and then you just have, like, somebody super exploitable on the other end. And so, yeah. Okay. Do you guys want to do Pablo? I'll let you pick. Do you want to do Nuggets Clippers or Knicks Pistons next?
Oh, let's do Knicks Pistons and save the Nugs Clippers for last.
All right. Tyler, what do you think? What do you think Knicks Pistons? This should be a good one.
I'm excited for this one. And the first place my head goes to is, like, kind of what we talked, not as extreme, but kind of what we talked about with Giannis against the Pacers. I just don't see a good option for the Knicks to meaningfully slow down Cade. In 4 matchups this season, he averaged 31-8 on, I want to say, like 63 or actually might have been like 66.
Yeah, I have it written down here.
True shooting. And it's like it's just a big matchup problem, because I think Mikhail's their go-to guy at the point of attack, and for everything he can do with his agility and length to bother small guards and hound them, he struggles with big wings, and that's exactly what Cade is. He's just going to put the shoulder into him and kind of just do whatever he wants in terms of, like, empty corner isolations and things like that. Also, in the pick and roll, you can put Mikhail in jail pretty easily and just kind of get to wherever he wants to go in between. And now you're attacking Cat in the pick and roll, which doesn't sound great. Problem is, if you want to switch OG onto Cade to avoid those strength issues, now you lose all of your weak side help. So now Cat is just in these constant 2-on-1 situations where, is he blitzing? Is he hedging? Is he dropping? Nothing's good. And if you don't have OG on the weak side, you have no secondary rim protection. So the Pistons can get away with playing guys like Asar and Isaiah Stewart extended minutes for their defense, because you can't stop them from getting on the glass or cutting baseline. So I actually think, like, this series will be dictated by whether or not the Knicks go double big and how long they go to it. Because if you get Mitchell Robinson on the big, OG on the ball, now you can drop with Mitchell Robinson and make Cade beat you as a jump shooter, and then you can use Cat as your weak side guy, so you still have that rim protection behind the play to take away the lobs and things like that. And now it becomes a lot harder to play Asar or Stu, because they're not as versatile offensively, and you have a bunch of bigs kind of packing the paint. So my kind of takeaway was this series goes one of two ways. I think if you roll with Cat at the 5, it's going to be a very offensively slanted series where neither team has an option for the other one, because we didn't even talk, like, the Knicks just have so much offensive talent. What do you do against a Brunson Cat pick and pop if you have 5 out spacing? And then if they go double big, now the Pistons can get a little bit creative with their defensive matchups. They can exploit Mitchell Robinson not being a ball handler or a shooter, and I think it becomes a much slower, like, grinded out series.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think this is gonna be a really interesting series for sure.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, first of all, yes, I agree. I feel like the Pistons over the course of the series have been this team that has been building momentum, and so a lot of people examining this series immediately adopt the perspective of the Pistons, and I feel like that's led to, like, a real under-evaluation of how good Brunson specifically, but also Cat have been this season, where it's just like, Brunson fucking blows me away every time. It's like a remotely close game in the fourth quarter. It's just like, okay, well, we don't have to worry at all because we have this level of guy in the clutch. And so I think from that perspective, it's I don't know, like so many people are kind of being like, damn, the Pistons really, like they have a lot of like good stuff in this matchup. But I also think the Knicks have like probably more favorable shit. It's just I think if the Pistons or if the Knicks make the changes that you're talking about and it turns into like that slow, physical, grinded out kind of series, is that almost a change that like Detroit would prefer and like would rather embrace? Because I feel like from a pure narrative standpoint or whatever, last year's Knicks team I felt a lot more comfortable about in terms of like their physicality and their grit and their toughness or whatever, especially the version of the team that we saw make the playoff run. I don't feel that way about this season's Knicks team, and I think Detroit is a team that like obviously is going to want to turn up the physicality at some point, just in terms of like how many fucking fights they've gotten into over the past like 2 months or whatever. And so if it turns into like that really slow plodding series, Brunson would love it. I think that's somewhere that like Brunson would thrive, but the Pistons as a whole, I think that might be something that they would like really embrace, whereas the Knicks roster, I don't know.
Yeah, I see both sides. Like, I agree with you that the Pistons probably want that, like, physicality and grit a lot more because they do have that kind of, like, 2004 mindset where they're just, like, they want to punch you in the face and just, like, throw you off your game. But, like, my mind goes back to those series are always determined by who can get it out of the mud on offense.
Yeah.
And there are like 3 guys in the last 20 years who I think can get it out of the mud more than Brunson as an ISO creator. Like, that's kind of what Philly tried to do. And in the last 4 games of that series, he had 39, 47, 40, and 41 points. Like, what do you do with that? And then also Brunson's another guy. It's different from Halliburton because of the style. But Brunson never turns the ball over. So you're getting like 45 minutes a game, because you know he's going to play 45 minutes a game. You're getting 45 minutes a game of a guy who's just like giving you efficient enough isolation scoring without turning the ball over that you kind of just have a higher floor than basically any offense in the league that doesn't have Shea or Jokic.
Yeah. Pablo, what do you think?
I have a similar question for this series as I did with Timberwolves. So if the Knicks go, suck it, Cade, all our attention is on you, you're getting nothing, we're going to let everyone else beat us, how will the Pistons handle that situation? Does that lead to just Malik Beasley explosion? Is there anyone else on the Pistons who can create like at a high level off those like secondary swings and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it all depends on the lineup the Knicks have on the court. If they don't have the double big, the answer is they don't stop that. There's no like if you. It doesn't matter who. Usually when they set up like that, Duren is kind of the guy one pass away. And Duren rolling to the rim against a defense with no rim protector and Asar cutting from the baseline, you're just getting outworked athletically. There's nothing you can do for that. So I guess that would just kind of be my thing. Like whether the ball's getting swung to Beasley, Asar, Duren, or even like Tobias Harris, because Tobias Harris is bigger than everyone except for OG and Cat in that starting 5. I think it's just determined, like, if you have Mitchell Robinson as your low man, you feel pretty good about his ability to step up and handle the 2-on-1. But if Cat is the one doubling or he's the low man, I just think the Pistons are rolling into points over and over again, and I don't really know what you do with that.
Yeah.
I actually think the biggest thing for the Pistons offense, though, is going to be they're going to be putting Brunson in every action, I think. Like, they're going to look for that switch from Cade to Brunson, and I don't know because Brunson's probably going to be matched up with Beasley or Hardaway, and then it's like, what do you do with that like pick and pop action? Like you can't, because usually the Knicks want to hedge, but Beasley's a flamethrower. Dude made 300 3-pointers.
Yeah, I'm excited for him in the postseason. He's another role player that's just like, hey, when he's got it going, I would hate so glad he's not in the West, just because like that's some shit that would make me so upset. Seeing him hit the shimmy, like I would get visibly mad on the couch. But yeah, I think I don't know. When I'm thinking about Cat as the 5-man too, I think the potential for him to be in foul trouble in that scenario
Yeah.
really jumps out to me, because I also think this is one of those series where, like, Cat, it gets out of hand, and then he picks up the offensive foul, and it's like, dude, that's what it's fine to make the defensive mistake, but you can't come back down and, like, lay out Asar or Stewart or whoever and then be like, what do you mean? I feel like the potential for those kinds of things, it's really high in this series. And I think as with the double big lineup, I don't think it'd be as big of a deal, but that's just something I'm looking out for, is Cat getting, like, making those kinds of mistakes or whatever. I guess that's mostly how I'm feeling about this series. I think, what do you think it's gonna go? Knicks or Pistons? Who do you think will win how many games?
Yeah, I landed on Knicks in 6. And this was a really tough one for me. The ultimate kind of, like, because I saw so many different adjustments and pathways for both teams. Also, I don't know what the Knicks do with Josh Hart if the Pistons put a big on him and just abandon him, because he's not going to make them pay as a shooter, unless, I mean, he kind of.
It'd be cool if he did, like last year.
He torched Philly, didn't he? Philly from 3?
Well, yeah, he's in the playoffs last year through, like, mid-January of this year. I swear he was like a mid 40% 3-point shooter. He was nuclear in the postseason for sure last year.
In the first 3 games of the Philly series, he shot 50, 57, and 50 from 3, and had 3 20-point games.
Nice.
So yeah,
nice.
if that happens, Knicks. If that happens, Knicks, I feel like easily get out of that series. But, like, my big kind of takeaway was I feel like the Knicks hold the cards in this series, and they kind of dictate the way it goes in terms of what they decide to do with their lineups. If they go double big, that forces the Pistons to adjust. And I feel like kind of the auto advantage going into a series is, are you going to force the other team to adjust to what you're going to do? As opposed to the other way around. And that's also kind of why I lean the Lakers over the Wolves, because they're going to do what they do, and it's on the Wolves to figure it out. I kind of feel the same way about the Knicks and the Pistons. I think the Knicks are going to do what they do, and it's on the Pistons to be like, okay, how do we adjust to this? And I feel like if I'm kind of split in a series, that's ultimately where I give the advantage to.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I think I probably go Knicks here as well, just in terms of, like, I don't know, it's almost like horseshoe theory or whatever, where it's like extreme casual take and then, like, the super in-depth take. You circle back around to, like, the casuals, like, well, they have Cat and Brunson. They have the 2 of the 3 best players. And then, like, you get all the way back around and you're like, damn, I'm still leaning Knicks. I do feel like that will be the difference maker. Who do you think the big X factor for each team is here?
This is a big thing. So I actually am glad you brought that up, because I wanted to circle back to a point that I didn't get to, but this actually segues perfectly. I think the way to beat the Knicks isn't to slow down Brunson or Cat. It's to make sure the other guys aren't performing offensively. I think that's why Boston loves this matchup, because Mikal and OG just become non-factors against Boston because there's no mismatches. And both of those guys feast off of mismatches. Like, Mikal had 41 on Christmas, just cooking mismatches. And so, like, both of those guys are prone to 20 to 25 point explosions if they get mismatches. And I think this is a series where Detroit will be put in a really tough spot, because anytime they have either of those, like Hardaway or Beasley on the court, that is a matchup for the Mikal and OG to exploit. So I'd say the X factor is both Mikal and OG, because they are prone to these 20-point explosions. Especially OG was, like, averaging 20 when Brunson was out.
Yeah, he had a really good run there. Okay. Yeah. No, I like that. I like that. And then for the Pistons, who do you think?
Pistons is a tough one. I think I might go Asar Thompson. Because I think he's going to be relied upon to play probably 30 minutes a game because of the defense. And it'll be a question of if he can stay on the floor for them to produce efficient enough offense as a cutter, as an offensive rebounder, and as a transition ball handler. So I don't know if it's necessarily like I'm expecting a big series from Asar, but I think which side of the pendulum he swings to is one of the biggest factors for Detroit.
Yeah. I mean, especially because, like, I don't know. I definitely feel like it could be a thing where he checks out, and then it's like, oh fuck, Brunson, 15-point quarter, just like off rip, the second he sits down. Pablo, do you have any more thoughts on this matchup?
No, I would just say I'm taking Knicks as well. I just think personnel-wise, the Pistons are probably a little too limited in terms of two-way guys. Like, it seems like a lot of extremes, like Asar Thompson, the greatest defender in the world, but he sucks. He's really hard to work with on offense. Tim Hardaway Jr., he's a sniper sometimes, but they're going to bully him. So, yeah, I think this one is just too many guns for the Knicks for me.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let me timestamp this real quick, and we can wrap this up with Nuggets Clippers. Okay. Probably the hottest team in the league heading into the playoffs in Los Angeles, and then, I mean, the best player in the world ostensibly in Jokic. I feel like when we got this locked in, a lot of people were rooting Nuggets Wolves to happen again, and I think if I could remove myself emotionally from that, it would have been fun. But I'm glad it didn't happen. And so even though I now had to face the buzzsaw that is fucking healthy Kawhi Leonard and all of these other great players, the stakes internally for me are at least a little lower. What are your initial thoughts?
Even if you go down 3-1, you're like, well, we'll just do what
We've
did
been
in
here
bubble.
before, baby. Guys, call up Paul Millsap. We need him on the bench. Okay, Tyler, what are your initial thoughts? Nuggets Clippers.
Well, I want to ask you, do you think Zubats is the best one-on-one Jokic defender in the league?
I don't know. It really tears, I'm torn because part of me says just like flat out yes, and if he's not the best, he's like inarguably top 2, top 3, because I do think for what it's worth, Gobert does a good job. It's just that like it feels like Jokic almost takes the Gobert matchup personally, whereas like Zubats, I feel like we've seen him come in, especially in like the first few matchups they had this season, Jokic comes in just like a lot more lackadaisical for whatever reason. It's just like another regular season game, and maybe like it is easier to guard him when he's not putting like 100 moves on you per possession or whatever. But yeah, I think even top to bottom in terms of like team that can guard what the Nuggets like to do, the Clippers are very well equipped, but especially Jokic, Zubats, like if you could just pick a guy to like throw at him, he's on an extremely short list of guys who are good at it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of an auto advantage that the Clippers have, because I do feel like historically the toughest question to answer when you go up against the Nuggets is how are we going to defend Jokic post-ups and what poison are we going to pick? I do think the Clippers kind of skip that step because they're just going to put Zubats in single coverage and say, Jokic, you got to beat him. You got to beat him one-on-one. So I actually think Jokic post-ups become a much less of a factor in this series than in any other series, because I just think that they're not, and maybe in late game situations they'll look to go to it, but I don't think their primary form of offense is going to be Jokic, 40 minutes, we need you to cook Zoo in the post. I just don't think that's going to be it. I think, kind of like you said with the team aspect, Jamal Murray really struggles with ball pressure. Chris Dunn's going to be hounding that guy at 90 feet. Like that's constant pressure. So I actually think one of my initial takeaways was like Westbrook's probably going to be really important as a ball handler in this series, because remember at the Wolves, they started using Aaron Gordon as the point guard because Jamal couldn't get the ball across half court. That's a situation where Westbrook's pace and ability to just like get downhill and put them in rotation does become really important, especially if Zoo's going to be spaced onto Jokic like 30 feet out at the top of the key.
Yeah.
I think, dude, it's tough because I think then the Nuggets, there's so many different ways for the Nuggets to kind of attack. Like one thing I'm expecting, if you do go to Jokic in like that pinch post area, I'm thinking they do lots of screening and cutting and moving. I think the Clippers are going to switch 1 through 4, but then you're probably going to end up with possessions where it's like Powell on Gordon, and now it's a duck in. That's a post up immediately. You're probably going to end up with a lot of situations where Powell or Harden ends up on MPJ. So then you just go to the Jokic and MPJ handoff action, and it's like MPJ's 3 is probably a big X factor in this series. Also, if you get like Harden switched on to Jamal, now you set up the 2-man game. And what does Zoo do against a Jamal and Jokic 2-man? Like, do you drop? Do you hedge that? And the Clippers kind of rely on Zoo to be there rebounding and rim. Like, he carries a lot of heavy duties as a rim protector and as a rebounder. So if you get him in space on the ball, like now you need Derek Jones Jr. or Kawhi to be a secondary rim protector and really take away Jokic in the short roll. It's tough, man. It's tough. I think Jokic is going to be used a lot more as a screening hub and then also as like a point center. They're going to probably put Zoo in a lot of screening action. Like they're going to make Jokic run inverted pick and roll, and he's going to curl off of pin downs and things like that. Can't go under the screen because now he shoots 70% from three.
Hey, oh my God.
So, yeah, I think like the question isn't whether or not the Nuggets are going to get good offense. I think the Nuggets are going to find good offense consistently. The question is, does it match what the Clippers are going to do? Because the Clippers are going to obliterate the Nuggets defense.
Oh my God. I was watching because, like, again, didn't want the Wolves. Don't give a fuck. I don't want the Wolves. Give me the fucking 2017 Warriors. I don't want to play the Wolves again. So I'm watching the final game of the regular season, that electric Clippers-Warriors matchup to decide how the play-in shakes out and everything. And the whole time I am rooting for the Clippers to win. But in the fourth quarter, I was like, this Warriors defense is really good. And the Clippers are tearing them apart. Like, they have no answer for anything that the Clippers want to do. And I think an underrated aspect of it is they were offensive rebounding incredibly well against that Warriors team. And outside of Jokic, I think that's been like one of the worst aspects of Denver's defense is that they just continually allow teams to extend possessions on the offensive glass. And so, yeah, I think it's not like the Nuggets can't win. It's just the margin for error is incredibly small. You are going to feel every single wasted possession, every single dumb turnover or whatever, just because I think on the other end, the Clippers have so many offensive options that the Nuggets are extremely under-equipped to guard. I don't think they have like a legit guy to throw at James Harden and make him feel super pressured. I don't think, like, shout out to Aaron Gordon, who I think has been a really great Nugget this season, especially with the shooting leap that he's had. Don't really think he's going to make playoff Kawhi Leonard, like, work that hard or anything. And then you look at how Jokic has defended the rim this season, which has been abysmal. And it's like, hey, it's possible. The Nuggets can win. There's a path forward, especially with, I do feel like Jamal was building momentum down the stretch in the season. Like, I thought he was playing some of his best basketball before he tweaked his hamstring again and was out for, like, the final 5 games. But they're going to need to play, like, perfect to beat this Clippers team.
Yeah, I need you to get your whiteboard out in your head again.
Editor, put in sounds of people dribbling basketballs.
Exactly. I'm going to paint a beautiful picture for you. Actually, it's not going to be beautiful for you. It's going to be beautiful for Clippers fans.
Nightmarish. All right.
Nightmare. Yeah, I want you to get a nightmare, right? So, let's say Brown is on Harden. Brown's on Harden. That's probably going to be the matchup in the starting lineup. They go... Oh, yeah. Also, before I get into this, I want to say they don't have the personnel to make Chris Dunn's non-shooting like a huge problem. And that's like one of the only ways you can slow down the Clippers is if you can really zone off of him and shut off the rim. But so Harden's up top. You're just going 1-5, Harden and Zoo, spread pick and roll. Let's say left side of the floor, left wing. And strong side corner, in the left corner is Norman Powell. And he's guarded by Jamal Murray probably, which is a problem. But yeah. Norman Powell's in your strong side corner. Can't help off of that. Weak side corner is Aaron Gordon on Kawhi. And Aaron Gordon can't drop to play the low man because you can't leave Kawhi. Kawhi open. So then Harden and Zoo spread pick and roll. What the heck do you do if you're the Nuggets? Do you put 2 on the ball? Do you drop Jokic? Like, what do you do?
That's the nightmare that I was thinking about because in the Warriors game, Draymond got bullied by the Harden. I'm going to the rim. Here's Zubats, dunk this, and it was just like the cat and mouse game. He just got wrecked by it, and I'm like, okay, so if Jokic isn't drop here, maybe is he any better than Draymond? Like he's taller, but I don't know. Is he?
You could throw a lob over him. It's not like impossible.
Yeah, like he's not getting up.
Yeah, I'm like, does his IQ? Is he like better in the cat and mouse game somehow? Probably not. It's Draymond. And then I'm like, okay, but they love to bring him up anyway. So yeah, we'll just bring him up and do a little hedge type thing. And I was like, okay, so who's the next rim protector? Well, Aaron Gordon would probably be the best one. Oh, but yeah, then it's Kawhi, so you can't really do that. And so
it has to be MPJ coming off of Dunn, but like now you're either getting a Zubats post up on MPJ, or you're just swinging it to Dunn and doing a second side attack. Because Dunn, for all of his like shooting woes, is a really quick decision maker and a really good passer, which kind of separates him from other non-shooters.
Yeah, he's not like. I feel like I single out Jared Vanderbilt too much on this channel, but like Vanderbilt does definitely like change the way the team plays and everything. Dunn can like dribble and pass fine. Like if you're just gonna fucking leave him open, he's like a very competent player. And so I mean, I genuinely have no idea what the Nuggets do to solve that problem. Even before Kawhi was healthy, there was a matchup they had with the Clippers in December where Norm Powell, like the idea of all-star Norm Powell was really starting to come around, and then I think he gave him like 38 points or something. And my takeaway was just like the Nuggets just give up way too many corner threes for like them to be like a serious NBA team, like have a legit shot at beating a team like Boston or OKC or anything. And I still feel like that. I still like all of those issues remain in this matchup. It's just the fact that it's like, okay, now you have all NBA level Kawhi Leonard stepping onto the floor. And so it's like, okay. I mean, I really have no idea. And I think game to game, once we're 2 games into this series, I think there is like potential for all of us to feel differently just because Jokic has been such a good, like, I don't know, adjuster over the course of series. Like by game 3, even if Zubats has like guarded him really well, by game 3 I do have faith that he'll just be like a walking 30, 12 and 10 again or whatever, even if he's not held to that in the first couple games. But on the defensive end, I do think the potential for this series to just be like the culmination of all of the Nuggets personnel choices over the past couple of seasons, it's really there. Because like, yeah, I mean, there's no like alternatives to dip into on the bench. Shout out to Peyton Watson, who I like. He's cool. A Peyton Watson block's always fun, but I don't think it really impacts this series. Shout out to Strother and whoever else. Shout out to Jalen Pickett, the man who got Malone fired. But like, yeah, it's just really tough to see the Clippers having like a down offensive game. Even if they have a down shooting night, like they still have so many options to make great looks.
Right. And that's where I was about to go next, because I think the Nuggets might get Watson on the court just to like slow down the Harden Zoo pick and roll, because that's the other guy alongside Gordon who you could really trust to protect the rim and rotate over. But then I'm like, okay, now what do you do if they just put Zoo in the dunker, go done, you screen for Harden, let's get the switch onto Watson, and now it's a Harden ISO with Zoo in the dunker. That's like damn near the best half-court offense in the league consistently. And then it's like, okay, say, God forbid, you find a way to just take Harden out of the game. That's probably not going to happen, but let's just say...
We killed his ass. He's dead, baby.
He's a non-factor. He gets hurt. Let's say he gets hurt. Now it's Norman Powell. Okay, let's go Norman Powell, curl screen. Jamal Murray's chasing him, and Jokic's man is screening. Again, what do you do against that? You have to put 2 on the ball because Powell's too good of a shooter. He's too good of a slasher off the catch. Okay, let's say you took that away too. Now let's go Kawhi coming off a screen from a guard, getting a mismatch, middle of the floor Kawhi isolation every single play. There's just so many ways the Clippers can beat you. And what if they sub Dunn out and get Bogdanovich on the court? Now you have a Harden and Zoo pick and roll with 40% three-point shooters who can all play off the catch. That offense is just, there's so many layers to that offense. Like, I was even, when I was doing my Clippers Nuggets preview, shameless plug that's coming out tonight, but
all right.
When I was doing my Clippers Nuggets preview, I was watching the Clippers offense and I'm like, what can even OKC do against this? Like this offense is just so versatile.
Yeah. And Bogdanovich is, I don't know, it's like you had a bad day at work and then you like get into the car and your tire's flat or something, where like in the back of my mind through all of this, I was post trade, I was like looking at Bogdanovich and I was like, bad start, he's rough. He was like 30% through his first 5 games or whatever. he's starting to build momentum a little bit. And then by like the final like stretch of 10 games or whatever, I was like, this is legit like the exact guy they traded for. This is like the 15-point guy off the bench that can just fucking nuke you if you help off of any of their good players. And it's just another thing that they like one more thing to be like, yeah, Nuggets also don't have an answer for that on top of all the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Oh my god.
it's like whack-a-mole. Like the Nuggets defense trying to figure out this Clippers. It's like they solve one thing and then here goes another 25 point per game option. Here goes this, and then it's like throughout all of this, we didn't even mention the fact that Zoo this year was second in post-up points per game. So what if, God forbid, Jokic gets out of the act, like off of Zoo at any point? You're just posting up Zoo, and no one can
like
stop
into
that.
foul like that's even more than that. Like asking. Like, if you're just spamming Zoo post-ups or Harden Zoo pick and rolls or any action that Jokic is, like, constantly involved in, the scariest situations to me are when it's, like, mid-second quarter and you're like, Jokic 3 fouls. And it's like, oh, fuck. We have to navigate, 10, 15 minutes of, like, real in-game time with, like, minimum Jokic help. Against a bad team, it's not guaranteed. And so against a team that's good, like, those could be games where it's just like out of hand by the time he's allowed back onto the court or something. And
that's a perfect transition into my next point. Every single time, I would assume Jokic and Zoo are on like the exact same rotation. Like their minutes are gonna match. But like both teams kind of collapse when both of them hit the bench over the course of this season. But the problem with the Clippers when Zoo goes out is they struggle protecting the rim. They struggle rebounding. Those aren't a problem against the Nuggets bench units with Gordon at the 5 or whatever. So it's like, now you're just basically going band for band, and James Harden is by far the best offensive floor raiser on the court in that scenario. And there probably also will have Powell and Bogdanovich on the court too. Yeah, I just think, I think, again, it's kind of like what we talked about with the Pacers and Giannis. I think you always have a really good fighter's chance if you have a player that good, especially with the way, like you said, by game 3, Jokic is going to be just an offensive GOAT. Pretty much guaranteed that's what he's done historically. But then it's like, the Clippers just have so many more ways to beat you. They have so many more ways to adjust. They can go to so many more different lineups that don't have holes. Like, as if the Nuggets go to a defensively slanted lineup, now you have like 3 non-shooters on the court. All of the Clippers defenders can also shoot, except for Dunn. So, and Ben Simmons, I should say, but
Well, it's like,
yeah,
I mean, it's a testament. Like, we haven't even talked about Ben Simmons because, like, they have so many good players that, like, the idea that he is even going to be asked to be a difference maker is fucking
Will he
crazy.
show up at all, do you think?
I think it depends on like what I actually think Ben Simmons is kind of going to be a cheat code against the Nuggets small ball bench units because he can still switch everything. So it's like, and then also they'll probably play with a lot of pace. Like Ben Simmons, I just think it's funny that like the report came out that Ty Lue has to like tell Ben Simmons to look to score, but when he does look to score, he has those stretches where he still is just a clear positive player, because there is still the transition creation. There is still the defensive versatility. It's not what it was, but you do have these weird stretches where he randomly becomes aggressive and you just see like, oh, this is a good player.
Yeah. Okay. I really hope I'm not emotionally invested in the Bucks shit, so I didn't give them this leeway, but I really hope we come out on the other side and it's just like, yeah, we ever thought that series. Jokic and Murray, baby. We've seen him be so good so long. And it's just like, beyond that, it is tough to develop a super realistic angle. So Nuggets X Factor player. We haven't been doing stars. Feels like Jamal Murray has to have like a crazy series.
I agree.
For this to be close.
I agree. Either him or MPJ to me. Those two like have to be real offensive threats to match LA's firepower.
Yeah. Okay, for LA, who would you pick then?
Honestly, probably, dude, I don't even know. Like, I just feel like everyone's gonna play good.
Yeah, we don't need to pick one for them. They're just like good at basketball now.
Yeah,
so.
I'm gonna say Norman Powell because I do think like if the Nuggets are having their way offensively, you do kind of need that third 20-point per game guy to keep up with them. So I'll say Norman Powell is a pretty big factor. I hope he doesn't become an afterthought in the offense. That's what I'm worried about. Because there are stretches of these games when Harden and Kawhi are on the court, and Powell's basically just a really overqualified spot-up shooter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't want to like. He's probably super happy still, but like it's tough to be like, Paul George is gone. I can finally stretch my wings. Everybody laughs at you for talking like that. The second, like, oh, okay, all right, Norm Powell, and then you step on and you're like legit all-star level offensive player, like great offensive
addition
season.
by subtraction.
And then Kawhi comes back, and it's just like, okay, go back over there. We don't need you. When he's gone, you can come back. But yeah, shout out Norm. Pablo, I feel like I feel like we've been talking over you a little bit. Do you have any thoughts on this series?
No, everything has really been covered. I will say, like, it is. I will be interested to see. I don't know if Jokic has gone all out and tried to just bully Zubats for a full game. And I would like to see that. I think I wrote down Zach Lowe the other day pointed out that Jokic has only posted up 10 times total against the Clippers this entire year. So maybe that tells you he doesn't want to do it. So he's a little worried. But
Yeah.
I still just have trouble thinking there's a single and I know statistically, like I've seen the graphs, that he is the best Jokic defender in the league, typically. But I still feel like, well, it's Jokic. Come on. No one can really do it.
And it's just Jokic has so many layers to his game. Like, you don't even need to post up to get to 30 points if you're Jokic. You can do so much other stuff. And, that's where the rest of the Clippers defense comes in. Because I remember there was one game this season where they were just trying to put Zoo in, like, inverted pick and roll stuff. And Chris Dunn was just wreaking havoc all over the court, like flying around, forcing turnovers. I think he blocked Jokic at the rim at one point too.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So I just pulled up the numbers right here. Since 2021, so when Jokic became an MVP level player, Zoo has defended him for 588 possessions. And on those possessions, per 75, 27 points, 8 assists, 4 turnovers on 54.5% true shooting. Compared to season averages of 28 points, 9.5 assists, 3.5 turnovers, 66% true shooting.
What do you think it is? Is it just the strength and
I think
being nimble on your feet?
I think it is the fact that it's marginal, but Zoo is 1 inch taller. He has 1 inch longer on his wingspan, and he's about as strong. So it's like, historically, the guys who are strong and mobile can kind of push Jokic out. Like, I think Kat is a good example. I think Bam is also a good example of that. But then Jokic kind of tends to struggle with the really big bruisers. Like, I've seen Jokic really struggle with Valanciunas before.
Yeah. Sabonis, just because it's just ridiculous the kind of shit those guys can do against him.
So it's like Zoo kind of checks all of the boxes. He's got the strength, he's got the good feet, and he's also taller and longer than Jokic. So he kind of just swarms them. Like, there's a lot of possessions where Jokic thinks he has an angle, and Zoo just kind of, like, is just a wall in front of the rim. I actually am curious. Like, I don't even know if I caught a Nuggets-Grizzlies game this year. Was Zach Edey good against Jokic?
I feel like he was fine.
He's a foul. He fouls a lot.
Yeah, it's not, like, to me, it's not a matchup that, like, stands out in my mind. And I would also say Edey... Jokic is really good. If you don't know exactly where to be positionally, like, you don't present that much of an issue for Jokic regardless of your physical tools, and Zubats knows exactly where to be on every possession. And so, I feel like it is a combination. Like, when you talk about him thinking there's going to be an angle, even when Gobert is guarding him, one dribble and then, like, the bump on a post up for Jokic, it makes space that creates the angle, and it just doesn't move Zubats at all. And so there's a lot of the little floaters and the hooks and things. There's definitely still makeable from a guy who we've seen, like, live on this insane shot diet, but it's not like... I don't know. Like, I do think there will be an adjustment period. If we came out of game 1 and the internet was, like, freaking the fuck out because it did not look like a good Jokic game, that wouldn't surprise me that much. Like, I think the potential for that to happen is fair.
Another guy that we didn't kind of throw in there that I want to mention in terms of Jokic defenders is Wemby. Like, well, Wemby was the ultimate, Jokic thinks he has an angle and then it's blocked every time. Like, those two games, Jokic had his, like, 40 pieces, don't get me wrong, but it looked really hard.
Well, in those matchups, I never, like, when we're talking about Zubats or Gobert or whatever, we're talking about, like, half-court possessions and all of these things. I've never seen Jokic try to get out in transition as hard as he did in those Wemby matchups, where it's like, do not let this guy get in front of me, because then life is impossible. So, yeah. Yeah, the fact that, like, I'm glad Jokic's prime doesn't overlap with Wemby, because that would be such an annoying stain on his career. It's like, they matched up in the playoffs 4 times. Jokic fell off a cliff every time, which, like, I don't know. It wouldn't happen, but, like, Wemby is otherworldly at guarding him. The same way he's otherworldly at guarding everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good place to land. We talked about the playoff matchups, and we ended on Wemby's amazing.
That's a theme that permeates this podcast. Wemby is literally the GOAT.
We're Wemby GOAT people already. We've planted our flag.
And you can claim that forever now. If it happens, you can be like, I was here when he was 21 years old.
And even if it doesn't, I do genuinely feel like I'd feel comfortable looking back, being like, yo, Wemby
I guess
21.
he was just the defensive GOAT.
That's funny. All right, Tyler, this is your opportunity. Platform, plug, anything that you want to do.
Just Hoop Venue on all platforms. That's where all my content's at. I'll be trying to upload daily during the NBA playoffs. I do that every year. We'll see how long that lasts, but Hoop Venue, all platforms. I'll be posting constant film, player breakdowns, and things like that. Series previews that I'm gonna get all wrong, all the good stuff, and then Hoop Venue on all platforms.
Nice. All right, we'll tag you we'll link a bunch of your shit in the description here. Everybody go check out, support his stuff. Thank you all for tuning in. David Robinson, take it away.
Up tempo means I'm gonna run you into the ground.